'Cause sometimes life just gets real crazy, and it seems like we all get a little jaded, so maybe it's time to pack a bag.
Hello again, and welcome to Misadventures, Vanlife.
I was born into it. My great granddaddy. Okay. Is it recording?
Yes.
For our first, for me and my multiple personalities, our first video. Alright guys, welcome back to Maia's Misadventures. For my first official video, I wanted to do the logical thing, which is a tour of my van Lelu. Figured you guys would want to see the inside. So yeah, I wanted to do the van tour, but I also wanted to give a little bit of history. People always ask me, like, why did you choose van life? Honestly, the simple answer is, like, I was literally born into it. I don't know if I had much of a choice. I guess I could have rebelled against my parents and done that whole thing. My mom, my dad, and my brother, before I was in the picture, they actually lived in a van together and traveled around. And by the time my mom was pregnant and had me, they had upgraded to a big purple school bus, which is where I was born. So I was literally born into a bus, born into the van life. So I always knew I was going to live in a van. It was just a matter of when the timing was going to work out. And that happened in 2018. I had been traveling in Europe for 8 months, just backpacking around, living off my savings and doing some work away and stuff like that. Yeah. I eventually started to run out of money and my savings started to dwindle, and I decided I wasn't done traveling and I wanted to come home, buy a van, build it out, and find a more sustainable way to keep going. By the way, I did write a blog all about my European adventures, so if you'd like to read that, I will link it in the description. Blah, 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 blah. So I came home, I spent 3 months searching for a van that I liked, test driving, honestly, pieces of crap for a long time. It was a very stressful experience at times, but after 3 months I found the van that I wanted to buy, and I loved it. The van that I decided to buy actually had a build in it already. And at first I thought that that's part of what I was buying. I intended to keep the build, but I took it to a good family friend who is a fantastic carpenter, artist, all this stuff, and he convinced me to rip the whole build out. But I still bought a great van, and it's perfect size for me and everything. So 3 months to find a van, 3 days to rip the build out of the van, and 3 months to put it all back together. Mostly James put it all back together. I will also link him in the description. He is the master carpenter and the skilled craftsman. I was the unskilled grunt labor, but I did help through the 3 months, and together we built a, in my opinion, pretty fantastic nest for me. I've had it now for almost 3 years. And it is treating me very well. Let's go check out my van.
Wait, is this not your van?
This is Lelu. Welcome to my home! I already forgot everything we said I was going to talk about. Alright guys, so this is my kitchen space. It takes up a lot of room in the van, but honestly, I love it. The kitchen is probably one of the more important parts of the van for me. I really love cooking, and that can get hard in such a tiny space, so I like that I have such a dedicated area. My spice and dried food storage is definitely something that draws people from the outside into my van when they see it. Every time the doors are open, I have some passerby just talk about how awesome the jars are. So I also think they're pretty awesome. I have a lot of people very confused about what's going on here. So these are all screwed in. They're not magnets. They screw on and the lids stay in place. A lot of people think they're magnets. This one is loose because my friend tried to pull it down and actually succeeded with one. Ripped it right off the wall. Most of them have 2 screws, but these were later additions and they only have 1, and they are not as good. Basically, in this van, I have so many windows. It's not a Sprinter, you know, it's not solid walls. I can't just be like adding racks and everything, so you really have to use all the space that you can. So screwing all of this stuff to the ceiling was like really helpful, because that's like a whole drawer's worth of stuff on its own. Here I have my stove. You can latch it up here to keep it open. It's just a little 2-burner. It runs off of just the 1 pound. Do they do propane in pounds?
I have no
It
idea.
runs off the little green bottles of propane that you buy. If you get close, you can see here that I have a hose attached to the side that runs through a little hole, and it comes down here. This is what I use for mine. So that goes under there, and you know, other things live on top of it. Every space counts. So that's my cooking, simple stuff. Over here, I've got my sink set up. Also, inset in the counter. This thing is awesome. It's USB rechargeable. Does that guy. I don't need anything else besides this. It literally just has the hose running out of the bottom of it. This itself is the pump, the whole system. Like I said, it's rechargeable. And then here, you just drop the hose inside your water and it sucks it up. I hardly ever have to charge this. I think in the last 3 months I've recharged it once, so it's not really something you have to worry about, consider too much. I have a power strip right here, so when I do have to charge it, not a problem at all. I just run a really typical, it's a micro USB cable over to it. I really love this pump. I've been through a couple. I've had ones that have so much pressure it splashes out when it hits my sink, and it causes a lot of issues. It actually caused all my silicone sealant around the sink to like bubble up and get messed up from being wet all the time. Not gonna lie, it is my second one. My first one broke, so you know, there's consequences for buying cheap things, but it has been my favorite regardless of the price. That hose runs down into my water. I just have a 6-gallon water jug. For my system, that's for washing and drinking. I keep small 1-gallon water jugs too that I can just refill it. Like, I don't have to take it in when it's completely empty. I can just add some water to it as I go, and that's really helpful. And you can do whatever. I mean, you can go into stores and use the refill. You can fill it up at your friends' houses. It just depends on how you're living and what resources you have available to you. I have definitely filled it up in a creek. That was really beautiful water.
Just drinking creek water.
I'm drinking ice runoff. It's fine. These drawers are all of my kitchen supplies. I love these drawers. I literally cried when my friends built them for me. So here you can see that I really like tea. The latches are so important. Actually, we had these latches on here by themselves, just the latch, and every time I would accelerate too quickly, they would open, they would slide open, and then the drawers would slam open. So we actually put little tiny magnets, which are very strong and I can't even take off. But this is a little tiny magnet, so that when I slide the latch closed and close it, it actually stays in place on the magnet. So this was an addition that we did not do at first, and my drawers slammed open repeatedly. In here I have all my food storage. Most people, I find these days in vans, have refrigerators. I do not feel the need to do that. Not saying it's always easy, but I used to have a cooler, but it's really hard also to keep ice. It's expensive and messy. At this point, I just buy everything fresh and cook it when I need to cook it. And then all my dishes are down here. Yep, pretty self-explanatory. Lots of room.
Big drawers.
Big drawers, lots of room. It's awesome. Okay, so since I did mention that the faucet is chargeable, I just wanted to show you guys real quick. I do have electricity in my van, so the inverter is here. I have a flexible solar panel on the roof, and then the battery's here. The battery charges both from the solar panel and when the car's driving, and we added some additional things on the engine to protect the car from that backfiring, essentially. That way it doesn't drain my car battery. I really like that because there's definitely days, like especially here in Colorado, well, maybe not so much in Colorado, it's pretty sunny here, but in the winter it's rough, and sometimes there's snow on my solar panel and it's not charging. So the fact that the battery charges when I drive is really nice. My system is like really simple, but mostly I'm just charging devices. I have run a sewing machine off my solar power a couple times. I was honestly surprised that that worked, for as long and as well as it did, so that was really cool. Mostly I'm charging and it's very simple, and I'm not going to get super into my system because I don't run anything big like a fridge or even a cooler. Some of my friends have deep freezes. I'm not looking for that kind of power, so I do intend to interview and tour my other friends' vans who do have that kind of stuff, and they can explain to you more what you need if you're looking to have a fridge and have more like modern commodities. I just don't feel the need for them.
I like the fact that you have the extension cord right there, and so you don't like, because your inverter is hidden, and you just like pretty simple solution. So you don't need to put any outlets around the van. You don't need to mess with that kind of a build. Super simple and efficient. I really like that.
Okay, so the last piece of my kitchen is actually not here right now. But essentially the last piece of my kitchen is a board that sits from this side to this side that I can set and create an extra counter. This is something that I've had since the van was built. It definitely is nicer if you have company. Every time I've had people come and stay with me in the van, I always use it because someone can sit on the bed and be chopping vegetables while you're sitting over there cooking, or, you know, I put the box on this side, someone sits on the bed and it's like a dining table and we can actually have a meal together, and that's really nice. But when I'm by myself, it's not as useful. It's actually in my storage unit right now because I just don't use it and it does take up a lot of room. So it's a really great idea. I've loved using it, but it's also an example of how like your ideas of what you need and what you want in your van are always going to be changing. Sometimes you realize that something you thought was like a really great idea in the beginning, it's more hassle than it's worth. It's all a flow when you live in a van. Everything is constantly changing. It's kind of insane. I thought by 3 years in, you know, I'd have everything locked down. I could fit a lot of stuff in here if I didn't have so many clothes. We got our inspiration for this honestly off Pinterest, but this is just like thick elastic, really nice for just like being able to move things aside and pull out stacks of stuff or whatever. It's the same on both sides. This shelf is weirdly disorganized and empty right now because so much of my things are in my storage unit. This is usually all of my craft supplies. I also have storage above the seats, the driver seats. I recently cleaned this out. It's still gonna look messy, but I promise it's very organized. So there's stuff up here too. Again, there's actually a lot of room in here right now. Let's see if this light helps. So there's actually a lot of room in here right now. I will fill it up a bit more when I get things out of storage. My light switches are right here since I just used them. These ones are colored lights that are in here, inset all along both shelves, around my bed, and inside of this storage space. And then I have another strip of plain LED lights that go all around. So those lights get really bright at night and they're plenty to use. I also have some fairy lights just strung up around my bed when I'm not trying to like do as much and I'm trying to just hang out, and I really enjoy those. That's so much talking. I know you guys are probably sick of hearing about storage. I have more storage on both sides of the bed. This one is filled with books. I also have all up here filled with books. I have more books inside the house I'm house sitting right now. It's a problem. This thing that I sit on is also storage. You guys have all probably seen these for sale. And I have more clothes.
Surprise, surprise.
I opened this one time to like grab some socks out of it, and my friend was in here and he was just like, is there any place in this van that you don't shove clothes? And the answer is no. It's absolutely not. So let's talk about something that everyone always asks me questions about, and that is, where do you go to the bathroom? So the truth is, I have a toilet here. It's specifically a camping toilet. Ooh. And that it has, it's sectioned off. It has two sections, so these break apart from each other. And this section you can fill with fresh water to essentially flush it. There's a pump here. And then you pull this out and it flushes down. And then it seals in, you know, all that gross stuff that we call black water because we don't want to talk about it. So it seals it in so that you're not dealing with smells. Of course, sometimes that's still like not the greatest. So I did just start using these Bio Blue for black water from REI, and I have noticed that it did help. Not that I was dealing with a lot of smell anyway, and honestly, I have this essentially as like an emergency solution. I don't like to use it. I like to go to public restrooms. I don't like finding places to empty this. Most Vanlife apps now do have RV like dump stations where you can get this emptied out. So it's not too hard these days, but it's still kind of a pain. I don't love it, but it is here in case of emergency. It's, you know, a little toilet.
I woke up for a very weird situation one time.
I really had to pee. And I don't remember why the toilet wasn't an option. But the toilet wasn't an option.
But the sink is.
And I peed in the sink. Okay, these are the truths of van life. Just, you know. When I was looking for my van, something that was very important to me, and something that is part of the reason that it took me 3 months to find a van, is that I had to be able to stand. I did not want to live in something that I could never straighten up completely. I didn't want to be getting dressed hunched over or uncomfortable. So that was a huge criteria for me. Now, obviously, I am right below the ceiling. It's not like I can jump around and have a party in here, and not everyone can stand in here, but I'm 5'7", 5'8" with my docs on, and so I can stand, and that was very, very important to me. So I would say that if you don't have a van yet and you're someone that's like watching this because you're interested in getting one, definitely make a list of things that you don't want to give up. I did not want to give up the ability to stand in my home. That sounded really bad for me. This is perfect. So over here I have all of my jewelry. Same thing for clothes. I really didn't want to give up my accessories or my clothes. Just because I live in a van doesn't mean I have to look like I live in a van. So this is the solution that I came up with instead of just like having all of these balled together. I took a wooden coat hanger, I put these little hooks in there, and I just hung all my necklaces. And then this, I stapled some like lace fabric to the inside of the coat hanger, and all my earrings just poke through and hang. I think this was probably another Pinterest idea. Pinterest is great. You guys should definitely start a Pinterest board for your van. Speaking of Pinterest-like things in the van, I like my fairy lights with all of my pictures of important people. If you're an important person and you're not on this wall, don't get offended. I just put it up, okay? I need to print some pictures. Let's talk about my bed. So I know people do a lot of different things when it comes to their van bed. Mine is a very custom size. I went to a place that like specializes in upholstery. It's mostly automotive, and they will sell you specific pieces of foam of different thickness and like density if you want something really soft or hard or whatever. So my bed is literally just really wrapped up. My bed is a 4-inch piece of foam, basically like with a feather topper. I'm pretty sure I got it at Bed Bath & Beyond, and I just got the size closest to my bed, which was a full. So with these two things, I'm super comfortable. I sleep this way because I'm little. When James told me he wanted to put the bed this way, I fought him on it. I didn't believe that I would actually be comfortable sleeping sideways in this van. But it is 6 feet across, and I'm 5'7", so I do fine. I'm very lucky with the height of my bed, as far as like there's enough room for me to sit in the corner and read and put my pillows and be comfortable and actually hang out here. We didn't have much choice about how low my bed was going to be. There's metal bars that are sitting on the wheel wells. That is the main support system for the bed. And then besides that, it's just plywood. So this, you can see the metal bar here. These go all the way across, and then the plywood. This plywood is stationary, but on either side there's a cut that I put stuff that I don't really need access to under here. But you can see that we have the hinges, and each side lifts up. And there's storage under here, so here you go, you can see the 4 metal bars spanning all the way across and resting on the well. Not the easiest thing to get into, but that's why I keep things I don't really need that often there. Things I need more often are gonna be in these drawers. So this is actually something I changed with my friend recently. This used to be just a big drawer that I had to like yank out. It didn't glide or anything. We split the drawer apart, we put them on drawer glides, and now it just pulls out really easily. Big surprise, more clothes! This drawer doesn't span the entire width of the bed. It's just, well, it's over half, but it's just the side that comes in. On the other side, there's another drawer that goes out. It's a little smaller, and it's where I keep all of my things for my massage practice. The other thing is, it can be really hard to find custom things for your van, so I end up making a lot of my own stuff. And you can either make your own or you can find someone who does it, but it can be hard to find something that's already manufactured. So I recently made these window inserts. I love the inserts themselves. I don't like how I made them attach. Like, you can see that they're crooked. They're not staying on exactly how I want. It's definitely something I need to work on. I also made one for here because this is very, very bright some days and it wakes me up really early, but I didn't do it right. So there's always a lot of trial and error when you're making something for yourself in your own van. But it's worth it in the end. It's exactly what you need and how you want it. I made all the curtains for the van. I did these when I first bought the van, so these curtains have been going for almost 3 years now, and I really enjoy them a lot. I made this duvet cover for my comforter. Really enjoy that. It fits with my color theme. If you can't tell, I'm really liking the blue. With the leftover fabric from this, since I just really liked everything to match, I actually made this thing over here. I took this and made a bunch of pockets, and I just sewed it directly onto the seat with a pair of pliers, because that is a hard thing to sew by hand. And again, just like using every piece of your space for storage that you can. Essentially, these pockets are everything that you would find in a bathroom for me, so it's all of my makeup, hair products, and like tooth stuff and whatever, including I have first aid kit stuff down here. I also have a fire extinguisher in my van. I've never had to use it, thankfully, but it's something that makes me feel a little bit better to have. And the last thing that I crafted in this van, it's not the best way to do this, but it is what I have right now. So if you look here, there's a black strip of cloth with, these are like one side of a snap. And so when I'm ready to sleep, my little sister gave me this blanket, and I decided this was gonna be my thing that blocks the sun, or less the sun and more people looking in my van while I'm sleeping, because they get very curious. So this blanket has the other side of the snaps on it, just all along the top here, and I literally just attach them to these. I will probably redo this soon, but yeah, they just go all the way across, and they're here so that when I sleep, people can't see me. I definitely wouldn't do it like this again. I would probably add a strip of Velcro all the way across and put the other side on this one, or, you know, even better, like I have some friends who have zipper things that go on. There's definitely all kinds of ways to do it, but this is the first iteration. Even though we're 3 years in, it just hasn't bothered me enough to change it. It's pretty dirty. I used to kick it closed with my feet a lot. So this is also just on drawer glides. Opens right up. Like I said, this is mostly my massage stuff. I've got a lot of sheets, pillowcases. I've got some extra blankets back here and a sleeping bag. So it's a lot of stuff that I don't need every day, but is very useful. I'm okay with it only opening to the back, because like I said, I don't need it every day. That has been my tour of Lelu, my baby. Alright guys, thanks for watching Maia's Misadventures. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Like and subscribe for more content in the future, and feel free to comment with any questions or future subjects, van life subjects that you'd like to hear about. Thanks, see you next time.